Probably a better question.
All right. I think I gave you all about an extra 15 seconds there. So let's show the meeting of June. What is today, by the way? June 24th. One of those days, you know. June 24th, 2026, called to order. Let the record also reflect that all council members are present and accounted for. And then tonight, the invocation will be presented by Eric King. He's an elder at the Lakeside Christian Church. He's formerly founder and lead pastor of Spirit Life Temple in Clarkston, Michigan from 2000 to 2010. From 2010 to 2018, he served as church overseer and advisor to the pastoral team, Spirit Life Temple, which is a denominational community church. Sorry, Eric, I didn't mean to butcher this. Let's see, and he joined Lakeside Christian Church in 2018. And I think I've known you at least that long. So he has a Doctor of Pastoral Ministry from Destiny Christian College. That's in Winter Haven, Florida. So thanks for being here, Doctor.
Sir.
I know you don't like that, but
Eric's fine.
I like calling you that. He has conducted missionary trips to South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, and Tanzania, helped local pastors secure property, dig a freshwater well, plant vegetable crops, and build permanent housing for 400-plus orphans. Helped provide tent church facilities for 37 local pastors whose congregation were meeting in the open because they had no facility. You know, I got to tell you that, you know, not only do you do a lot of work for our city, and I'll go out on a limb and say it's good work that you do for our city, and I appreciate that, but I also appreciate you stepping up here and filling in when somebody else can't make it. And, you know, it's like we're 250 years old, right? And there's no doubt in my mind that our founding fathers, before they met and they made great decisions, they prayed on it.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to ask you to do that. Pray for this council, pray for our great nation and our great state of California. And then tonight, I'm going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'd just like everybody to remember that the flag that we say the Pledge of Allegiance to is something more than just an emblem. It's something that people died for, they fought, and in every war that you can think of over history, especially when it came to on our lands, which there haven't been too many battles on our lands, but more than enough. So I want us to just keep all that in mind as we say our prayer tonight and when we say our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Please rise for the invocation.
I'd like to ask everybody to bow with me as we pray. Heavenly Father, tonight we do lift up our great nation, the United States of America, our great state of California, and especially tonight, Lord, close to the heart, our own city of Santee. We ask, Heavenly Father, that you continue to give us opportunity to gather and serve in this wonderful community. We ask for your blessing upon the members of our beloved council, city staff, and all who participate in these meetings. We ask you to grant wisdom to those entrusted with leadership, discernment in decision-making, and integrity in all that they do. Help them to see what is right, just, and beneficial for the people that they serve. Give us hearts that listen with respect, speak with grace, and work together for the good of our city. May our deliberations tonight promote peace, stewardship, and the well-being of all residents, business owners, and visitors. We pray for the safety and prosperity of our community and for those who dedicate themselves to its public service. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me.
Sir.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, Nick, you want to come on down? Where you at? He left already, huh? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear me out here? Test, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Yes. Great, thank you very much. You can hang on to this one. So tonight, the reason why we're down here is we're going to present a proclamation regarding the 250th anniversary of our country. And we have been doing a lot in this city to make plans to have regular events and find little ways of, not spending a lot of money, but celebrating. And Nick has been in charge of that as our Park and Rec staff. And they've done a very good job from what I've seen so far. But I'd be remiss in saying that, Vice Mayor Hall, he came and said, hey, we need a committee or something, and we need to put together something to do for the 250th anniversary. When, Councilmember Koval came in and said, I'll join that. And they did. And I want to thank you guys for that. And the other council members, I want to thank you for also participating, because it's important that we all work together. And it's important, to me at least. So, having said all that, whereas on July 4th, 2026, the United States of America commemorates the 250th anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence, marking 2.5 centuries of freedom, democracy, opportunity, and self-government. This historic milestone provides as opportunity and Americans to reflect on our nation's past, honor the sacrifices of those who secured and defended our freedoms, celebrate our shared accomplishments, and inspire future generations to carry forward the ideals upon which our country was founded. And whereas throughout 2026, the city of Santee has commemorated America's semi-quincentennial, I got that one, through its Santee Salutes America 250 initiative, featuring patriotic events, educational opportunities, public art, community engagement activities, and celebrations that honor our nation's history while looking toward the future. These celebrations encourage residents of all ages to learn about our nation's heritage, recognize the importance of civic participation, and appreciate the freedoms and responsibilities that come with citizenship. And whereas the city of Santee is grateful for the generous support of community partners whose contributions have helped make Santee Salutes America 250 possible. And I'm going to read these names because these are the partners and businesses in our communities that make things happen, not just for the 250, but for many, many events. And they deserve to be honored and mentioned in this proclamation. And they include Waste Management, Sedano Chevrolet, Honda Service Center Santee, Honda of El Cajon, Toyota of El Cajon, Toyota Certified Center of Santee, RCP Block and Brick, Kimco, also known as the Santee Trolley Square, and Lloyd's Collision and Paint Center, The Stand, Fresh Coast Heating and Air, and the Santee Chamber of Commerce, and of course, the County of San Diego District 2 Supervisor Joel Anderson through a Neighborhood Reinvestment Program grant supporting America 250 activities, veteran arts and cultural initiatives. These valued partners demonstrate the spirit of civic engagement and community pride that has long been a cornerstone of Santee's success, and contribute to creating meaningful experiences that bring residents together in celebration of our nation's heritage at no cost to our residents. And whereas the City of Santee remains committed to fostering a strong sense of community, preserving our nation's ideals, supporting those who serve, and creating opportunities for residents to come together in celebration of our shared American story. And whereas Independence Day serves as a powerful reminder of the courage, vision, and determination of our nation's founders and the enduring principles of liberty, equality, and justice that continue to guide our country today. And now, therefore, I, John Minto, Mayor of the City of Santee, on behalf of this council, do I hereby proclaim proudly the 2026 as a year of commemoration through Santee Salutes America 250, encouraging responsible celebration of Independence Day on America's 250th anniversary by participating in Santee's year-long America 250 activities, honoring those who have served our nation and reflecting upon the values that unite us as Americans. Thank you. I'm presenting this to you, Nick, because of the hard work you and your staff are doing. And if you'd like to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for those kind thoughts. I've done some research over the past couple days, and I've noticed one thing here in the city of Santee, that out of the multitude of cities here in the county, I don't think any other city is matching up to what we're doing in regards to our activities, our plethora of events and social activities. So I want to thank the mayor and everyone else here for supporting city staff and making this an amazing 250th. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything?
Yeah, I just want to say it doesn't end on July 4th. It is the entire year, so let's celebrate all year long. Everybody's talking about July 4th. That's coming up on us real quick. It doesn't end on July 4th. We're going to celebrate this all year long.
And I'd just like to mention, and that's a great point, it is a year-long celebration, that there is the Patriotic Porch Contest going on right now. You can find information on social media about it. And in my neighborhood, a lot of members have a very patriotic porches, which I appreciate. I don't think ours can stand up to or hold up to Vice Mayor Hall's patriotic porch, but they were also decorating with lights at night, so a lot of red, white, and blue around town. It's really nice to see.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Let's get into it. Let's decorate our porches. Let's decorate our houses, and let's make this the best 4th of July we can.
All right, let's go to the calendar then. And are there any items to be added, deleted, or reordered, Vice Mayor?
No.
Councilwoman?
No.
Council member?
No, sir.
Council member?
No, sir.
City manager?
No.
City attorney?
Yes, sir.
Speaker slips?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second.
Is it not showing up for you guys?
No.
Nope.
We'll call vote.
Call
We're
the
going to do a roll call vote.
roll. Okay.
Councilmember McNellis,
Aye.
Councilmember Trotter,
Aye.
Councilmember Koval,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hall,
Yes.
Mayor Minto.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. That takes us to our first round of non-agenda public comment. Speaker slips.
Yes, we have 3 speakers.
Thank you.
Our first speaker is going to be Brother Stephen.
Come on down. Welcome.
Beloved Mayor and Council. Good evening, beloved Mayor, City Council, citizens of Santee, Brother Stephen Gerard, and I'd like to open with Holy Scripture, reflection from Psalm 90. Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. before the mountains were brought forth, or ever thou hast formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. I'll leave it upon everybody here to finish Psalm 90, hopefully before the end of the night. I'm delighted to be back in Santee. I travel the United States amplifying new USA preborn personhood cities. It's something that we can now do because of the U.S. Supreme Court Dobbs decision. I hear you have a new city attorney, Mayor, so he will be challenged in this new direction. I have provided for all of you a little bit of my efforts since I've been in California now since December. I'm delighted you're going to get a copy of the participation of the California March for Life. About 4,000 citizens showed up in Sacramento, and that was very successful. And even Sacramento's learning about new USA preborn personhood cities. I'm delighted to give you a copy of the San Diego Walk for Life, too. You have that. And I have showed up to there quite often. When I'm in California, I often love to visit your mother church of California, which is Mission San Diego de Acala. I hope some of you have actually been there. And I do guitar, and it's a joy for me when they have the blessing of the animals, because I'm a third-order Franciscan. So if you're not doing anything in July 15th, 16th, and 17th, for the Festival of Bells, you might see me there. Bring your animals, and we do a blessing of the animals. It's usually on that Saturday noon time frame. I'm delighted to let you know that I have been petitioning in California, and my petition outreach also includes citizen action with new USA preborn personhood cities. I not only speak now as a one-man show, I have over 450 California citizens who have signed an advisory petition encouraging each and every city council that I speak at to move in this new direction. Of course, it's going to require you to ponder the possibilities. Are you courageous enough to move in the new direction to pass a resolution? And I provided that resolution for you. Why do I do this in Santee especially? Because you're one of the 100 plus cities that have a city charter. And your citizens can actually vote preborn personhood covenant language right into the charter now. I'd like to end just with a song because time is ticking. The joy of the Spirit of God is love for His creation. God bless you in the year 250 celebration. Thank you for letting me speak.
Our next speaker is Brenda Hammond.
It keeps me smiling. Hi. So first, go Mexico. We want Mexico to win. And then, tomorrow is the USA. Go USA. And for the 250. And then, speaking of El Cajon,
Nobody's speaking of El Cajon.
I am. So I have an El Cajon Fire Department shirt given to me last night. So now I have the trifecta of Heartland. So, but 4 is my favorite number. I really want a Santee Fire Department shirt because I want one from every city. And so I'm wondering when there's going to be a pancake breakfast or something so I can purchase a Santee Fire Department shirt. And then I want to know why the trucks are yellow. But for, yellow for sunny Santee, right? Thank you. Just trying to have fun.
Thank you.
The gentleman in the back right there can help you, Antonio. Raise your hand.
Our next speaker is Carl Constantino.
Hi, Carl. Welcome.
Thanks. Something a little bit more on city business. I know that you guys are going to be discussing Fanita Ranch and its loss in the courts in closed session tonight. And I don't know if you can answer this, but I was wondering when we'll be able to, we being the public, be able to find out the results of that discussion, i.e., are you going to pursue it yet once again, or are we going to finally drop this insane idea? And the second item is at 8:19 tonight, there's going to be a really nice launch going over. So hope everybody can see that.
I think we're going to be indoors.
I know.
So thanks a lot.
Can you answer the question?
Well, we'll respond to you when we have an answer, because we actually don't even have an answer yet.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, thanks.
There are no additional speakers, Mayor.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. That takes us to public hearing, item number, 12.
Do we need to hear this? We don't have to.
You're up.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and
Motion to
City
approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any speaker slips?
No, sir.
We need a
Thank you.
voice vote.
If we can get the voting machine up.
Oh, yes. We're going to do roll call.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Councilmember McNellis.
Aye.
Councilmember Trotter.
Aye.
Councilmember Koval.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Mental.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. That takes us to item number 13, open the public hearing for the fiscal year 2026.
Motion to approve.
You have to read it first.
Second.
I have to read.
He has to read the title.
Don't be so, gung-ho here. Where was I? Town Center Landscape Maintenance District, TCLMD, annual levy of assignments.
Assessments, but that's okay.
So have a motion and a second. Please call the roll for a vote.
Councilmember McNellis.
Aye.
Councilmember Trotter.
Aye.
Councilmember Koval.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Mental.
Yes.
Motion carries
Tell
unanimously.
you how easy this was going to be to do this presentation.
Oh, this is a record.
It's not your first rodeo. You've seen it before.
I have. This is my
And by the
second-
way, to the
second
public,
rodeo.
this is every single year we have to do this. It's just something, it's just one of the clerical things that we have to do every single year. So there's no changes, there's no nothing. We're just renewing the same thing we've been doing for years and years and years. Hence the reason that we're doing it like this.
So that takes us to item number 14, which is a public hearing for the fiscal year 2026-27 Santee Roadway Lighting District, SRLD, annual levy assessments.
Motion approved.
Second.
Are there any speaker slips?
No, sir.
Thank you. Please call a roll vote.
Councilmember McNellis.
Still aye.
Councilmember Trotter.
Aye.
Councilmember Koval.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Mental.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. That takes us to item number 15, which is a resolution approving the annual levy as a successor agency to County Service Area CSA 69, a special tax within the Santee Lakeside Emergency Medical Services Authority boundary for fiscal year 2026-27, and collection on the property tax roll.
Anybody else?
Motion to approve.
Second. Trying to get someone else.
Are there any speaker slips? Thank you. Please call a roll vote.
Councilmember McNellis.
Aye.
Councilmember Trotter.
Aye.
Councilmember Koval.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Mental.
Yes,
Motion carries unanimously.
thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, Finance Department.
I was going to say, you already spoke.
I thought she was looking for balloons.
Yeah, I know. Okay, that takes us to item number 16, which is a public hearing on the vacancy rate pursuant to Assembly Bill 2561, presented by H.R. Rita. You probably should hear this one, guys.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and Councilwoman Koval. The item before you tonight is the annual reporting of the Assembly Bill 2561, which was effective January 1 of 2025. Okay, I don't know how to do this here.
Did that break down too?
No.
Is that the presentation? Oh my goodness, wow. They are getting shorter.
We'll be going over the law's intent and requirements, the City of Santee's vacancy rates, as well as the City of Santee's recruitment and retention efforts. So AB 2561, the authorities, the state of California, and the local public agency employers are subject to this. The city must report annually on the status of vacancies, recruitments, and retention efforts. The recognized employee associations may request additional information if vacancy rates are above the 20% threshold established by AB 2561. So that would be the Santee Firefighters Association and the Santee Fire Chiefs Officer Association. In addition, the recognized employee associations are entitled to make presentations tonight. Both have been invited and they have decided not to make a presentation tonight. So the purpose of AB 2561 is to maintain awareness that position vacancies have impacts and also to achieve greater transparency, like my graphic right there. So the law's intent is to recognize that high vacancy rates impact government services, recognize impact to employees when vacancy rates are high, and also to focus on staffing efforts to reap the benefits of filling vacant positions. So the current vacancy rates, and this is as of May 31, 2026, for 2026, you'll see that in red, the 20% threshold that was established by this Assembly bill. The Battalion Chief Association is 0% vacancy rates. For the miscellaneous employees, it's 8.1%. And for the SFFA, it's 13.7%. Again, well below the 20% threshold. In 2025, the SFFA was at 13.7% vacancy rate, which is the same as this year. For the miscellaneous employees, it was down last year at 7.1. We are now at 8.1 for 2026. So for recruitment and retention efforts, again, the City of Santee continues to remain below the 20% threshold in 2026. And some of Santee's recruitment and retention efforts in the past few years include, number one, in 2024, we did a comprehensive salary study conducted by the Human Resources staff. All miscellaneous employee positions were surveyed. There were approximately 75 positions. And then market adjustments were approved by the City Council for several positions that fell below the median. There were about 6 positions that received market adjustments. Number two, one of the other recruitment and retention efforts that Santee has done was approving the holiday closure. This was approved in 2024. And the program is where the City Hall offices and the Public Services Yard close to the public between the workdays between Christmas Eve and the New Year's Day holidays. This has proven to be a valuable recruitment tool for applicants. We do advertise these on our job announcements, and it is also a retention incentive for current employees. Continuing on for the recruitment and retention efforts, fire department recruitment and retention efforts include the fairly new EMT program, where we successfully recruit and hire part-time temporary EMTs, then pull from this talented pool to place them into full-time permanent positions when there are full-time vacancies. For the firefighter paramedic recruitment process, HR opens the recruitments as open and continuous, meaning there's no closing date. And then we expedite in collaboration with Fire, HR and Fire, to test immediately upon receipt of applications. This includes written exams, panel interviews, selection interviews, background and reference checks, and pre-employment testing. Also, Fire has a good outreach program where they create recruitment videos, which are on the city's websites. They visit paramedic schools and attend safety-focused career fairs. They also maintain the Ride Along program, where they introduce EMTs and paramedic students to the daily life of a firefighter paramedic. Oops. The 980 work schedule, we've had this for a while, and we continue to have it available for our employees. This allows us to be competitive with the other public agencies, as well as be more competitive with the private sector employers. We also advertise vacancies in various social media platforms such as LinkedIn, our city website, Instagram, Facebook, government jobs, Indeed, and ZipRecruiter. We also advertise vacancies through professional organizations relevant to specific public sector roles. For example, for planning positions, we advertise in the American Planning Association, the American Public Works Association, and the American Society of Civil Engineers. We also encourage department liaisons to participate in job fairs and continue to review the city's salary structure to remain market competitive when we can. We also offer city internships. We provide professional development and training opportunities for employees. Our wellness program is robust and to enhance employee engagement. We also have the tuition reimbursement program to encourage continued education for employees. And for our employee benefits, we maintain competitive benefits and highlight them in our job announcements. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Speaker slips.
No, sir.
Thank you. Questions from the council? All right. No, that's it. Just accept the report. Thank you.
Great job, Rita.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to item number 17. Ooh, this is going to be the short one, right? Okay, continued review of the proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2026-27 and resolution adopting the operating budget for fiscal year 26-27 and taking related action. When do you want to start this off?
Actually, we're going straight to Heather.
Heather.
Hi there. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and City Council members. Tonight is the continued discussion and adoption of the proposed operating budget for fiscal year 26-27. The proposed budget was presented and discussed at the June 10th City Council meeting. So the 26-27 proposed budget is a balanced budget. We're projecting to end the year in June 2027 with a 22.44% reserve. The amount available over the 22% reserve policy is just a little under $300,000. There are no increases to the number of full-time employees. This is a status quo budget with no new or expanded programs. So looking ahead, the city faces some significant financial challenges. We are anticipating substantial multi-year increases in the sheriff contract. We are continuing to see increase in CalPERS cost, although they are somewhat mitigated by the city actions. We still have a $327 million deficit in our infrastructure needs. We continue to see medical liability and workers' comp costs increase. And are tasked to fund unfunded mandates. Some positive news, we do have new revenue sources, the community benefit fee from the cannabis retailers, and we are seeing new businesses opening up in the city of Santee. Also important to mention, the pavement program for fiscal year 26-27 is fully funded at $4.5 million. Staff is recommending deferring any decisions regarding the use of reserves to fund 27-28 until after the current year audit, when we know exactly what our fund balance, where we land at the end of this fiscal year. So a quick summary of the budget. Revenues are projected at 68 million, expenditures at 66.6 million. We have some transfers but in the budget, transfers to other funds, 611,000. Transfer to the capital improvement program. This is the general fund share of the design costs for the fire station 4 remodel. We also have included in the budget the 6th year of an additional discretionary payment to CalPERS of $600,000. We are expecting to end next fiscal year with $14.9 million. This is 22.44% of ongoing operating costs. So just a quick brief review of the revenues. 68 million is our projected total. This is 2.4 million more than our current year revenue, estimated revenue, and a growth of about 3.67%. The main drivers, of course, are property tax at 29 million. Property tax is estimated to be 1.1 million more than the current fiscal year, and sales tax at 20.8 million. We're expecting 567,000 more, or 3.2% more than the current year. And then, as mentioned earlier, the cannabis community benefit fee. This is a new revenue. This is a very conservative estimate at 300,000. This slide shows the breakdown of general fund expenditures by department. As you can see, fire and life safety and law enforcement make up a vast majority of the budget. They're at about 42.6 million, or 64% of all general fund operating expenditures. Also included in the budget are changes to personnel costs. The first one here is a 3% COLA for all employee groups. This will be effective the first full pay period in July of 2026. Also included is a 1.5% market adjustment for the Santee Firefighters Association, and this will be effective the first full pay period in January 2027. I should say this was a negotiated benefit. Also, for staffing changes, there is an addition of 2 full-time employees, assistant city manager and engineering technician. In addition, there's also a reduction of 2 full-time employees, economic development manager and the senior management analyst grants coordinator. Also included are some reallocations within the EMS and the fire department, and then public works supervisor parity pay. Also worth mentioning in the non-general funds and in the vehicle replacement fund, we are adding 2 new vehicles. These are replacements, not additions to the fleet. The replacements include the Battalion Chief Fire Command vehicle and a new trailer. For the gas tax, RMRA, SB1, included in the budget is a transfer of $700,000 to support the paving management program. These funds have been appropriated when the citywide pavement repair and rehab phase 2 contract was awarded in March. This is a cleanup appropriation. It does not increase our pavement management budget, but we just need to get it into the CIP. And it aligns the SB1 funds with the SB1 street list. And then finally, for SLMSA and the EMS fund, we are including a projected increase in ambulance fees, expecting between $500,000 and $600,000 more in new revenue. And this is based on a recent fee study performed for ambulance services. So the recommendation tonight is to approve the resolution adopting the operating budget for fiscal year 26-27 and take any related actions. This would, of course, include all changes as directed by the City Council.
We don't have any speaker slips. Questions?
No, sir.
Laura?
Thank you, Heather. I wanted to flag something that wasn't on the radar when the budget was built, and it moved in the 11th hour in Sacramento. this didn't have a lot of media attention, imagine that. So starting in January of 2027, the state budget trailer bill, SB 122, passed both houses last week, and the governor is expected to sign it July 1st. And it extends a state sales tax to software and software as a service. Nearly every platform we run in the city will get taxed. This is new cost, not in this budget. And I also wanted to correct for the public how this is being sold, because some of the information out here is misleading. The state says it sends over $1 billion back to local governments, and that sounds like good news for Santee, but it's not. California sales tax sends the local share to the city where the seller is located, not the city that buys the product. Software companies, as you know, are typically in Silicon Valley or San Francisco, so the money would flow to them and not come back to us. If the software comes from out of state, the local shares go into a countywide pool and get split across the region, so that will just represent a sliver, and definitely not what we're going to be paying. So this benefit for local cities, as it's being touted, is just really in the tech city industries. And for a buyer city like ours, the headline is backwards. We pay the tax on every platform we use, and we'll get little to nothing back. So it might not be an unfunded mandate, but I'm going to call it an unbudgeted obligation, and that's the theme from Sacramento. So I wanted to make sure that you noted that for mid-budget. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Rob?
Yeah, we talked about making sure that our paving program maintained its level that we had been working towards, and potentially reducing the reserve requirement in order to do that. But I didn't see anything in this about that.
So,
answer, it was included in the presentation.
It just kind of went real.
Can we pull that one back that has the, I don't.
So that is included in here then?
forward one. Yeah, right there. Oh, sorry.
So the fiscal year, the 26-27 is fully funded by actions you've already taken this year.
Right.
So Heather's recommendation is we wait until we finish the audit for the current year
Okay.
to
And
see
then
if
go.
we've got leftover funds that you would potentially want to appropriate to the streets program before we make a decision about reducing down
Okay.
the general fund reserves.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Anything, Dustin?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, thanks.
Second.
Thank you. No other comments, Ron? No. Okay, thank you. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
So there's a lot of changes happened since you were a council member here. You know that, Jim? A lot more sophisticated, a lot more mandates. For those who don't know, council member Jim Bartell sitting in the audience tonight. I'm sure he's going to have some comments. I want to say welcome and thank you for being here. He's one of those responsible for us becoming a city back in December 1980. So good. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here right now. So, all right, let's go to item number 18. This will be the fun one, I think, for the night. So I'm going to go first, guys. Do we have any speaker slips, by the way?
Yes, we have 3 speakers.
Okay. Okay, then I'll go after the speakers, but let's go ahead and have the presentation first. Give me a minute.
I don't just get a motion to approve?
Oh,
Can we
I'm
continue
sure
the
you would
trend?
love to have that. So this is titled item number 18. It's a resolution placing a general tax measure on the November 3, 2026 general municipal election ballot to establish a temporary 1% general tax, transaction and use sales tax for 10 years. Wendy.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. We can go to thank you. Some of this is going to sound familiar because you've heard this from me before, but I just kind of wanted to go
through the background and how we got to where we are tonight. So last year at about this time, when you were developing the fiscal year 26, 25, I'm confused in fiscal years because we've been working in next fiscal year. When you were working on the development of the current year's budget, which is the 25-26 budget, and you were also working to develop the capital improvement program, there was discussion amongst the council and the then interim city manager about the need to develop a comprehensive funding strategy for how to address the approximately $327 million worth of unfunded capital improvement projects that are in the CIP. At the August 13th City Council meeting, the council approved entering into a contract with Team Civex to help the city evaluate the feasibility of a potential local funding measure, or realistically a sales tax. The scope of work of that contract did include evaluating the feasibility of a sales tax, working with city staff to develop outreach and education materials, and depending on the direction that the council decided you wanted to go, work with staff on developing the preparation of ballot materials, again, if that was the direction that the council wanted to go in. We did conduct a sales tax feasibility study in late fall. The results of that study were presented to council at the February 25th meeting. We can go to the next slide. What this study did was test the feasibility of a half-cent sales tax that was estimated to generate about $7 million a year in annual revenue. There was a sunset on the potential measure of 10 years, so if approved, it would only be authorized for 10 years. And the language in the feasibility study also talked about independent audits, a citizen oversight committee, and that all the money would remain in Santee and be locally controlled and couldn't be taken by the county or the state or another level of government. The results showed that our residents enjoy the quality of life that the city offers. You'll see that about 83% of our residents surveyed the quality of life in Santee as good to excellent. Part of the feasibility study also to establish credibility, I think, is presenting arguments that we would expect to hear in support of an argument or a ballot measure, and arguments we would expect to hear in opposition, because you really can't test it unless you're portraying what you would expect that residents would hear if there were a campaign. And after presenting both arguments for and against, approximately 63% of the respondents to the survey did indicate that they would either definitely vote yes or probably vote yes on the proposed measure. So at that February 25th meeting, the council did not provide any direction in terms of referring the measure to the ballot. Rather, they directed staff to move forward with outreach and education and engage with the infrastructure advisory group that was formed last summer as part of the outreach efforts. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide because you've seen it, and this presentation will also be available online. We've been including all PowerPoint presentations from the council meetings added to the website after the meeting. So I think one of the things I really wanted to highlight is we have priorities that council's established in the CIP and through goal setting that really emphasize investment in our pavement management program and the importance of streets and improving the pavement condition index. There's also been an emphasis on fire facilities and public safety. And I think what we heard from our residents who participated in the survey is they share those same priorities. You see that they were presented with different options for how funding could be spent if a measure were to be successful. And you see sort of the mirroring of fire, police, captain, fire, sheriff, so law enforcement, and then definitely streets and roads were a very high priority for our residents too. So it was nice to see alignment between where council's goals are, where the CIP is, and what we heard from residents through the survey. And go to the next one. So as mentioned in that original slide I opened with, we do have $327 million in unfunded projects in the CIP. And as you know, we do the CIP every other year, so we'll be coming back to you at this time next year to talk about a new CIP. So I anticipate we're going to have more projects that we'll probably be trying to bring forward in the future. The half-cent measure that was tested in that first sales tax feasibility study would generate an estimated $7 million a year or $70 million over the course of the 10-year proposed authorization period. While that clearly provides revenue towards some of the priorities, it really likely would not make a meaningful impact to that $327 million in projects. So as we looked at the results from the first sales tax feasibility study that were really strong, we looked at the council priorities and the resident priorities that came out of that first study. We talked about looking at a full cent sales tax, but we obviously did not want to go after a higher number that we hadn't talked about or hasn't tested with residents and have some accusation that there was maybe a bait and switch on the number. So I think if we can go to the next slide. We did have a special city council meeting on May 5th where I asked the council for authorization to amend our contract with Team Civex and do another sales tax feasibility study that would test a full cent tax. And again, with that same parameter of a 10-year authorization period, the independent audits, the citizen oversight committee, and local control of the money that would come in. And it was, I think, good to do a second one 6 months later. So obviously it's a different environment when they did the first testing at the end of December and 6 months later, and various things have happened in the world. There's different conditions, and we were getting closer to the primary election, closer to the November election. So as you heard when that first study was presented to us, and it's true of this one too, it's a snapshot in time. So it's not a crystal ball. It's not 100% accurate, but it does give us some feedback from residents about their sentiments toward a potential tax measure. So similar to that first one that I talked about, part of the study is you present arguments that would be in support of the measure, in opposition to the measure, what people would likely hear if there were a campaign. The results showed that approximately 58% of the respondents indicated they would definitely vote yes or probably vote yes if the measure moved forward. And again, we have an open-ended question in there asking residents about what their priorities are for the city. They mirrored very closely to what we heard in that first survey in December. And at our last meeting, we also saw results of a less formal survey. So we did a mailer out to all of the registered voters in the city of Santee that gave them some open-ended opportunity to provide feedback to us. And that just kind of reiterated and mirrored that priority on pavement management program, improving our streets, public safety. And I think, as was mentioned at the last meeting, we've now, through the 2 surveys, as well as the informal mailer, touched about 2,000, heard, I think, from about 2,000 people in the city to get some sense of priorities. We can go to the next one. So we did present the results of that second sales tax feasibility study at the June 10th meeting, and following the presentation of those results and the informal results we got from the mailers, there was discussion amongst the council, and the council directed staff to bring back action items to consider referring a temporary general 1 cent sales tax to the November 3rd general election ballot. So per that direction from council at the last meeting, you also wanted to see that citizen oversight committee that was tested in the feasibility study. So what's presented to you tonight does incorporate the establishment of a citizen oversight committee were you to choose to refer the measure to the ballot and approve the items that are before you tonight. Kind of to reiterate, the council does not have the authority to impose an increased sales tax. That's solely up to the voters of the city of Santee. So the measure that's before you tonight would be referring a measure to the registered voters of Santee, and it is a general tax, so it would require a majority of the registered voters voting in the November election to pass it. Part of that general tax is it could be used for any purpose. We've really identified the CIP and looking at the infrastructure program and streets maintenance, as well as some fire stations, apparatus, those higher ticket, higher priority items that align with council priorities, as you talked about last year in your retreat and came out as strategic items for the council, what's in the CIP, and what we heard from residents as part of the sales tax feasibility studies. And this is not very friendly in this setting. It is included in the staff report that's available online. This presentation will be included and posted to the website after the meeting. Because it's a general tax, it's not a dedicated tax, but we did wanted to include an illustration of how we're really intending to use the money over the 10-year period. And again, this really mirrors those priorities council's identified, what's in the CIP, and also what we've heard from residents. And you'll see in this spending plan, again, it's a draft spending plan, The ballot measure would not include these specific projects. I want to be really clear about that. But you'll see there's a significant investment in the pavement management program. You heard back in January from engineering about our pavement condition index and steps taken to improve that and what it would take to just get to a 70 PCI. But I think from what we've heard from council, we really want to get to a much higher level pavement condition index in the city of Santee. So this would help us get there. We also have funding for an interim North Santee Fire Station, which is something that was identified a few years ago in the AP Triton report in terms of this area of the city being underserved and the importance of getting a station in northern Santee. We've talked a little with council and actually had some action items at recent meetings about a comprehensive remodel for our oldest station that is not in great condition. So we've included funding for that as well. Looking at some apparatus, council is aware of how expensive fire engines are and how long it takes to get them also when you order them. So we've included an engine for that new interim North Station and then a replacement engine as well for Station 4. And then in the survey and in what we heard from residents, there's also discussion about parks and other public infrastructure that people enjoy throughout the city and keeping those clean and well-maintained and addressing longer-term maintenance issues. So you'll see we've also included in here some money towards bridge restoration. We do have annual Caltrans inspections, and we have bridges that need some work. Our CIP storm drain, long before I got here, I think there were some failures that happened as a result of significant rain events. So we do have a drainage master plan that was included in the CIP a few years ago. So that would be the kind of the guiding document of where we would look to spend those dollars related to storm drains and our corrugated metal pipe. And then we did include, again, this is an illustration of how the funds could be spent, but several parks where we know we have restroom buildings that need to be replaced that are old. And then we also have playground replacement. We listed the specific parks that we were looking at in terms of prioritization. We have a few playground structures that are well beyond the useful life and what should be the useful life of those park playground structures. So this is an illustration, and I really wanted to show that the intent is putting this toward infrastructure type projects. We are not looking at this as a way to grow the operations of the city, grow staff in the city, or use it towards salary and benefits. This is really kind of our plan, is helping the CIP come to fruition and reality and achieve those council goals. Next slide. So there are 3 resolutions that are on tonight for council action. The first one would be actually placing the measure on the ballot. So this would be a temporary 1-cent tax for a 10-year period if it were to be approved. Again, it's a general tax. So it would be majority approval of the people voting in the November election that are registered voters in Santee. Because council did indicate at the last meeting that they would want to establish a citizen oversight committee to keep an eye on how the money is being spent and report back to council, that first resolution is a resolution, but also an ordinance. So it's got the resolution calling for the election, but then included with it is the ordinance that would actually amend municipal code. So if it were to be passed by voters in the fall, the implementing ordinance is included as part of the action. It does set forth criteria for the terms and the purpose of the oversight committee, and that we would envision meeting with them prior to the budget every year to look at staff's proposals for how the funds are going to be used. They would also have an opportunity to look at audits after the fact to see how the money was in fact spent, and an opportunity to report out to council if they have questions or concerns. The second item is a resolution very similar to what you approved on consent tonight. So on consent tonight, you had the consolidation of the general November election. So we have the county run the elections, we consolidate with them, which is actually a cost savings to the city. And then the third one is sort of setting the parameters for if you were to go forward with setting a ballot measure, there will be a time period and rules regarding arguments in support of the measure as well as arguments in opposition, and then an opportunity for rebuttals to those. So that third resolution establishes that process and includes deadlines that were provided to us by the registrar of voters for when those items would be due.
And with that, I think that's the end of my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Well, let's go ahead and take our public comments.
We have 3 speakers. Our first speaker is Jim Bartell.
Welcome, Councilman.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Jim Bartell. I'm a 48-year resident of Santee, and I had the privilege of serving on the City Council from our incorporation in 1980 through 2002. I am here to urge you to place the proposed 1-cent sales tax measure on the November ballot and give the residents of Santee the opportunity to decide whether they are willing to invest in our community's future. This is not simply a discussion about taxes. It is a discussion about roads that need repair, infrastructure that needs improvement, and public safety resources that must keep pace with the needs of the growing city. Some residents may support a 1-cent sales tax, others may oppose it. That is their right. But the people of Santee deserve the chance to review the facts, consider the benefits and costs, and make that decision for themselves at the ballot box. By placing this measure on the ballot, you are not raising taxes. You are not deciding the outcome. You are simply trusting the voters to determine whether investing in safer roads, improved infrastructure, and additional fire protection is worth the cost. A local sales tax also ensures that many visitors who shop in Santee contribute alongside residents, helping to fund improvements that benefit the entire community. We all drive the same streets. We all see the wear and tear on the roads. We all expect that when we call 911, emergency responders will arrive as quickly as possible. These are basic services that residents depend on every day. Over the next 10 years, Santee faces significant infrastructure challenges. The city needs major road and bridge improvements, critical infrastructure investments, and 3 new fire stations to help improve response times and protect lives and property. These needs are real, and they are not going to go away. The question before you tonight is not whether these projects are important. The question is whether the voters should have the opportunity to decide how they would be funded. Most importantly, the revenue stays local and can be used to address local priorities. The cost of doing nothing is not zero. Every year, the major projects are delayed, construction costs increase, infrastructure continues to deteriorate, and future solutions become more expensive. Santee has always been a community that plans ahead rather than waiting for problems to become crises. Tonight, I respectfully ask you to continue the tradition of by placing this measure on the ballot and allowing the voter to decide the future they want for this city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Antonio Camprera.
Welcome.
Thanks. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, as well as community members. My name is Antonio Cabrera, and I am here tonight on behalf of the Santee Firefighters Association to express their support for placing this measure on the ballot. First, I want to thank the council for the difficult work of balancing community priorities and making responsible budget decisions. I understand that residents expect every tax dollar to be spent wisely. Like many residents, I recognize that families are feeling the effects of inflation as well as rising costs. No one takes a tax increase lightly. Those concerns are real and they deserve to be acknowledged. At the same time, residents have made it clear that they care deeply about the future of Santee. They value the quality of life we enjoy and want to preserve and improve the services we have here in our city. As firefighters, we see firsthand how important reliable city services are to maintain a safe and thriving community. Public safety is a critical part of that equation, but so are roads, infrastructure, parks, and other services that residents depend on every day. The reality is that our city continues to grow, and the demands placed on city services continue to grow with it. Addressing those needs require long-term planning and substantial funding. That is why we are not asking you to raise taxes tonight. We are asking you to allow the voters of Santee to decide whether investing in local services and infrastructure is the right path forward for our community. Tonight, we respectfully ask that you place this measure on the ballot and allow the voters of Santee to make that decision. Thank you for your time and consideration. And I'd also like to add, if you guys are interested, this Sunday we have our annual demolition derby where we use our demo car and we go up against other fire departments out in Delmar. So if you guys are interested, this Sunday at around 11 o'clock, come out, hang out, and have fun with us.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dan Bickford.
Welcome, Dan.
Howdy. So it looks like a nice yes crowd here, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Here's the thing. I was the petitioner for the firefighters' sales tax, and you say, well, why would you do that and not this one? The firefighters actually listened to reason and made it a very narrow scope for a very narrow period of time. Sure, they had citizens' oversight, but you know, and the public needs to know, that citizens' oversight has none budgetary responsibilities. They're advisory. So you can hear all the Citizens Oversight Committee reports you want, but if they want to go ahead and spend it on 100% labor rather than on new facilities, that's that, okay? There's no guarantee that any of the projects that are on the window dressing here will be funded. No guarantee, because you know, and the public needs to know, that all those funds go straight into the general fund. Then they're dispersed out to whatever anybody wants. And again, with a very weak citizens overview, okay? Wendy just said it, you know, her wish list was just an illustration, because she can't take the future. She can certainly guide you towards that, but she can't predict it. Okay, so today you go on the record, you know. We should be not looking to increase everyone's taxes. We should be looking at finding other solutions. Yes, there's some projects we won't be able to do. Okay? That's that. So I say no. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
There are no further speakers.
Okay. All right. Before I begin, I'm going to thank the city manager, our finance department, public works staff, and everyone who has worked on this proposal over the past year or more. This has been a significant effort involving public outreach, financial analysis, and many hours of work. And I know that when we first started talking about this, we said, let's put together a focus group. And I made it very clear that if we put together a focus group, I did not want people in this focus group that are the what I call the usual people that we reach out to, people on our citizens committees or commissions or things of that nature, people who are always involved in some way with the city and making it somehow work. I wanted to hear from people that had not actually ever sat down with anybody and talked about what goes on in their city. And Nick, I know you headed that up also. And that was tough to get people to come out for that, because I don't think they understood really what we wanted of them. But we did it. And when we took some of the people out and they saw some of the infrastructure needs, they suddenly, thought, wow, we need to maybe think a little bit more, because as we drive down the street or we walk through the parks, we may not always understand how all that work gets done. Some people call and complain about simple things. Might be a sidewalk, but you know what? That's really not simple if somebody is in danger of tripping, falling, or something else. And how do we fix that? Well, it takes money. It takes a lot of money. And the money keeps going up and up and up, the cost of that. And as your mayor, my responsibility tonight is not to simply review a staff report. Let me tell you, that's a long staff report. That's a lot of pages, right? Anybody that reads all that, you could say they're crazy. Well, let me tell you, I'm crazy then, because I actually read it. So my responsibility is to determine whether placing this measure before the voters is the long-term best interest of the city of Santee. And I don't mean the city of Santee as a government agency, but the city of Santee as not just a government agency that but the people that represent the people that live here. Because you have to do the right thing to make sure that people are safe and secure, and they have the amenities in their community that they're asking for. That's extremely important. So if we ultimately ask our residents to make a decision that will affect them for the next 10 years, every single person that's on this council lives in the city of Santee and will be affected just like every other person that lives in the city of Santee. I want to say that I believe we owe these people a thoughtful discussion and complete transparency. And with that in mind, I have several questions that I believe both the council and the public deserve to hear. Now, this is the first time staff is hearing this, and I didn't put this together to do a I gotcha. You know, what happened is after reading through all this, I had more questions and didn't really have time to, send those out. But many of these questions I have are questions that have already been answered. But if we're going to put this on the ballot, this is our last effort to have questions answered if there's any question at all. Because we deserve to have those answers. So the question is, why are we here? I know earlier this year, as we've already discussed, that half-cent and now a 1 cent sales tax tonight. So the question is, what changed? Well, I think what changed is the fact that we heard the report and then we saw, and maybe we made a mistake in not looking really deep into the infrastructure needs before we asked about a half-cent sales income tax increase. But once we saw all that information, we learned that a half-cent is not likely going to cover the bills. And like so many other businesses, we can't just make more products. We can't sell them for a higher rate. We have to find a way to keep our revenue stream going so that it covers the bills. And unfortunately, that's by people that live in our communities helping to fund those. Is that the best way of doing it? Not necessarily, but there is no other way. And so far, no one has come forward and said, I found a way for you to do it. What projects or services would remain unfunded under a half-cent measure? And then what is the appropriate amount rather than some other alternative? Those are all good questions, I think. We see by the numbers that even with a 1%, there's going to be a deficit still on being able to fund all of those items. So the question next has to be is, if you can't fund the items that you put in your capital improvements project, why are you putting more projects in there? It's kind of like at home. Just because you don't put it on the list that you need to get a plumber out there and change out faucets and stop leaking or, get a new water heater doesn't mean that goes away. You have to plan for it. And sometimes those plans go further and further into the future. I believe the residents deserve to understand not only how much revenue this measure would generate, but also the amount is necessary. And did we actually drill down, or did we just estimate that? How did we get to that number of $14 million a year, or $140 million over 10 years? How did we really get to that number?
I can start. Heather can supplement, maybe? Sure. So we requested an estimate from HDL, who does our sales tax projections with us. That was the estimate for a full cent for a transaction use tax.
So
they are a company that cities up and down the state of California contract with. We have contracted with them for a number of years, so we didn't bring them on board solely to do this work for us. They also assist us with our property tax projections too, so they're a part of the budget process. And I didn't include it in the report, but I did do some informal checking with other cities that had done a measure in 2024 that also utilize HDL, and they found that most of their revenues either met the projections, and in the case of the city of San Marcos, they're actually exceeding the projections that were made with their potential measure.
Okay. And then it's interesting, and Dan raised this point, and there's no guarantee that any of this stuff is going to be done. All you have is the direction of this council to its staff and its manager who's responsible for carrying out the direction, that these are things that we want done. Question is, are we going to get it all done? Probably not, because there just isn't enough money. Can we spend that money in 10 years? And let's also talk about the Oversight Committee. Dan's actually 100% on target. There is nothing other than them giving us a report, hey, rah, 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 sis, boom, bah, you did a good job. Or you know what, you probably might have thought about spending money in a different area this year than you did otherwise. Or, maybe you should have looked at a different kind of bond, okay? But there's no oversight authority or anything. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that idea, because not everybody that gets on an oversight committee understands how business is taken care of in a municipal or other government agency. But at some point in time, you have to take a leap of faith that the people that are telling you something are telling you the truth, and really believe that they're going to do the best they can to make everything happen that they're asking for. That's not a guarantee that in 10 years, another council, or 5 years even, another council is going to continue with the same direction. But I can tell you, with guys like Dan Bickford out there that are willing to come forward and beat them up over what they're doing and what they're not doing, that's what will keep them, or I hopefully think will keep them on target. Because just because Dan's opposed to it doesn't mean that he's not going to have a voice. I just want you to know that. What he has to say is very accurate in many, many ways. So I guess maybe one of the thoughts I had here is, are we maintaining today's services versus building tomorrow's improvements? And the report references rising operating costs, including future law enforcement costs. And something that we should do in the future probably is not just talk about the increase in law enforcement costs, because, excuse me, every time we have a law enforcement officer who is given a pay raise, there's a lot of things, a lot of roll-ups that go with it. Now, I'm going to tell you, I know that they go out and they put their life on the line every single day. Now, you might just think they're out there, driving around and maybe stopping and writing tickets or drinking coffee or eating donuts. That doesn't happen. You ought to be thankful that they're just out there driving around writing tickets, because if there's more going on than that, that means it's a bad day for somebody in our community. Just like you'd want the firefighters to be sitting in the fire station doing nothing. Because if they're out on the road and you see their lights and sirens, that's a bad day for somebody in our community. And we have to continue to think about, how do we fund those guys getting out there and those gals getting out there and doing the work? So maybe we should, put it out there. That guy right there sitting there costs you well over $100,000 a year. And then he's got 47 other people working for him, every different level that you can think of. And then they have to keep their cars maintained. They have to be able to keep their radios in good condition. That costs money. Where does that come from? How do we continue to fund those needs? Guys at Park and Recs, they do a lot of work. How many's ever been out to the Santee Salutes, 4th of July celebration? Who do you think gets that done? You think it's done for free? No. We got guys back here that go out there and put those things out there for us. We just talked earlier about, the 250 celebration and, Nick and his team getting things done. That costs money. It costs a lot of money. But people keep asking. So when they don't get something, people in this community says, how come you didn't do this? Well, we didn't have the money. Why don't you have the money? It's a double-edged sword for all of us. A double-edged sword, and the reason why I say that is because people will say to me, John, when are you going to fix the roads? I said, when are you going to help us get the money to fix the roads? Well, we shouldn't be paying for that. Well, who do you think pays for that? Like your home. Who pays to fix your home? You do. Now, I can tell you that if you came over to my house and said, John, I'm going to impose a tax on you and you're going to help me pay for the plumbing in my home, I'm not going to be very happy about that. Who would be? Who would be? But the question is, who's going to do it? So, how strong are the revenue projections that we have? What assumptions support the projected revenue? When you include inflation, economic growth, consumer spending built into the forecast, was any of that built into that? And how would a recession affect these projections? I think those are great questions to answer, and I'm sure the modeling did all that.
I will admit I did not add inflation. I made the decision to not add inflation. I wanted to be as conservative as possible on the revenue estimates. Obviously, there is the potential for the recession, to your point, there is no guarantee that we will get this revenue. I think one of the things that we're doing is not looking at too much debt financing because when you think about bonds, so as an example, I came from a city that has utilities. They would do revenue bonds, but those were 30-year bonds. This is a 10-year horizon, so we are not going to be committing ourselves to any debt financing that carries debt payments beyond the 10-year horizon because it's a 10-year horizon for the payments, and I don't see the ability for us to make those debt payments beyond the 10 years. So a lot of it's going to be pay-go, as you've done all along, which I think is probably why there's $327 million in unfunded projects because you've been paying with the cash that you have on hand and unfortunately don't have that cash on hand.
Now, that's a great answer. And I don't remember actually reading anything like that actually in the report. And that's why I asked the question, because people are, if anybody knows or goes to, your political science classes or government classes, public administration, cities bond against their tax revenue. Well, yeah, if they have an ongoing tax revenue, but we can't do that. So we have to take care of the business at hand. And so I think that's important for everybody to know, that we're not going to encumber that money for years and years and years. And when you think about it, 10 years really isn't that long. And so, financial forecasts are estimates, and it's important for the public to understand both the opportunities and the risk. There's always a risk. We could have some, catastrophic thing happen, like we had, several years ago when we had a bunch of corrugated pipe that failed and houses were being undermined. And now we have to go out there, we have to find this money to, build those houses back up, put in new piping, and protect them from falling in, protect the community. And so, there might be some things that happen along the way, but it's just like I keep using your home as an example. You never know when the roof is going to need to be repaired or replaced. You don't know when that hot water tank is going to go out and you have to replace it when you were planning on your vacation. And now you're paying a couple $1,000s for a new hot water tank to be put in the permits. It happens. That is the risk that everybody has to understand.
And one of the things I talked about at the budget intro meeting, introducing next fiscal year or quarterly financial reports to council. So that's also an opportunity to do financial reporting out to the council. Now, obviously, if this were to be approved on the November ballot, it would not really be applicable until fiscal year 27, 28, but there would be an opportunity not just to do report outs to the Citizen Oversight Committee, but also to the council on a quarterly basis in terms of revenue coming in and expenditures. There is a delay. This is not pertinent to the tax measure, but there is a reporting delay when we get information on sales tax revenue, but we would plan to report that out too as we get information from, Heather mentioned HDL, our sales tax consultant. So they also give us regular reporting on sales tax revenue to the city.
So one of the things we did talk about earlier was the general tax versus special tax. And, special tax is one that definitely restricts the money. The thing is, though, that we have so many needs. And I think in the last election, the people said clearly, we're not really interested in a special tax that narrows things. And this is just my analogy. And I don't have any statistics to prove it, just the anecdotal information and things I've talked to people about. Because people want roads fixed. People want their parks clean and neat, and they want to be able to go there and not be afraid. They don't want to, they want to be able to, walk in their bare feet on the grass or something. I mean, that's not something I would do because I keep my shoes on all the time. But I think as we go forward, though, we need to continue to talk about that, a general tax versus a special tax. And although the outlines intended priorities for future councils retain legal discretion over the expenditures that these revenues create, I believe that distinction should be clearly understood because, like I said, not every council is going to think the same way we do, unfortunately. But Santee has a history of having conservative and fiscally conservative, council members. And my days are numbered on a council. I'm the first victim of term limits. And so therefore, I have to make sure that the colleagues that are here now and those council members and mayors that will come in the future continue to do the right thing. And, Jim, we should sit down and talk sometime because I would really like to get your insight on what it was like to leave the council and wonder, what are they going to do with my baby? Yeah. You may even think we did the right thing or we blew it. I don't know. But how interesting would that be? So let's talk more about, the Oversight Committee, what their roles are and things of that. Then do everything we can through outreach to make sure residents consistently identify the priorities and they see that we're taking care of the priorities. If this measure is placed before the voters, I believe residents should be confident that these priorities will remain at the forefront of future budget decisions. And you've been here for a while, Heather, and you definitely know what our desires are for budgets and what's a priority. So let me just say this, that I appreciate the work that has gone into the proposal. My questions tonight are not intended to advocate either for or against the measure. They are intended to ensure that the council, and more importantly, the public, fully understands what we are asking voters to consider. No one enjoys paying more in taxes, and I certainly understand the concerns many families have about the rising cost of living. At the same time, I have seen firsthand the rising cost of maintaining our roads, our public safety, and it's amazing what those costs are. Even more amazing is the cost of our infrastructure that is aging. If we're going to ask our residents to make an important financial decision about that, what that will affect the next 10 years, I believe we owe them a complete discussion, clear answers, and total transparency. And only then can each of us decide whether placing this measure on the ballot is the right decision for Santee. My colleagues, I know I've gone on and on and on. But this is absolutely one of the greatest questions that we've had to put before us since I've been on this council in 24 years. A lot of big, important decisions. But saying that I'm going to take some money out of your pocket, that's a tough decision to make, and I don't like to make it. But leadership requires tough decisions. I've used this analogy before. A good manager follow directions and take a crew and cut a path through a jungle. But great leaders will make sure you're in the right jungle. And not only that, but you're financed well enough to get the job done right once you get in that jungle. And so that's what we're here tonight, to make sure that we are the leaders that do that. And I'm finished.
I'll go next. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your words tonight. I spoke a lot the last couple meetings, so I'm going to keep this a lot shorter, for everybody else's benefit tonight. One of the things in our budget that we're looking at, you guys saw a statement that says status quo budget, no new or expanded programs. Just want to keep everybody, knowledge of that thing. We've talked about this numerous times. Go back and watch the videos from the last previous council meetings of the services that we provide here to the city of Santee. Heather, can you help the public understand if this ballot measure went on, it was voted for on November 3rd, when would this sales tax start date be?
So if it was approved in November, we would start receiving sales tax April 1st. So we would start taxing April 1st. So we would receive a quarter amount of a year's revenue the first year, and then we would receive it thereafter.
All right, can you back up? Maybe I misunderstood. So when does the sales tax go into effect?
April 1st.
April 1st of 2027.
Correct.
Okay. And then when will we start seeing that revenue here into the city of Santee?
So there's about a month delay. So we would start seeing the revenue around May, and then May, or I think it's a month delay. Yeah, May.
So a couple months, we would start
Yes.
accumulating some money into the fund, so to say, and we'd be able to make some educated decisions going forward, probably around this time next year, right? Around budget time.
So we would have, we would have an idea around budget time. We would maybe have a month's worth of revenue, but we would have a better idea when we, in July or August, we would know what we would have received for April, May, and June. So we would have a quarter of a year.
Thank you. The last roughly 15 years or so, you guys, when we came out of the 2010, time frame, these guys were up here. Remember the tough times we went through 08 and 09, in this city. Some of the staff was here at that time. And coming out of that 2010, there were some tough decisions that had to be made at that time. And for the last 15 years, I give kudos to obviously the previous councils and the council that's up here today, that we've been able to keep the status quo budget that we have, right? That we've been able to do everything that we could possibly do with what we have. And just like you said tonight, Mr. Mayor, this is a choice of the people at the end of the day. We cannot burden the people with this tax by our decision. It's not nice, it's not fun that we're talking about these things, but it is a decision that the people get to make at the end of the day of what do we put back into this community and what is this community look like going forward when, the services, like I said, that we have and the road conditions and anything else that we've talked about of options, how to spend this money. I don't want to say much more than that. I just want to put a couple things out there and let you guys talk, because I talked a lot, I think, the last couple meetings. So, thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a few notes in different places, so I apologize. I'm glad that there is language about SB 827 in the document. I think, though, I just thought of it tonight. maybe we shouldn't call it, as if it's referenced that way, maybe we should just use the code, because I know that they reuse SB numbers every year with 3,000 bills going through. So whatever the specific code is, that way it's codified properly. And then, let me pull up on my phone, because I have some notes on my phone. Okay, so I actually, a couple of years ago, I took a course through the San Diego Taxpayers Association. I think it was a UCSD 6 weeks course. And one of the things that was important to them with tax measures is something called maintenance of effort, and that's not in this document. So this is what I wrote down. And if the council agrees with this language, then perhaps we could just add it tonight to this. Maintenance of effort. The revenue from the tax imposed by this chapter is intended to supplement and not replace existing city funding for the infrastructure and service described in the measure approving this tax. Beginning with the first fiscal year in which the tax is operative, the city shall continue to appropriate for those purposes and from sources other than this tax an amount no less than the average it appropriated for those purposes from its general fund and other discretionary sources during the 3 fiscal years preceding the operative date, excluding one-time appropriations and restricted or dedicated revenues. I know that's long-winded, but it does make sense. The city council may appropriate a lesser amount only after adopting at a public meeting written findings that a significant decline in general fund revenue or a fiscal emergency makes doing so necessary. And I say that just because, exactly as Councilmember Trotter mentioned, you can't predict 2008, 2009, or maybe you can, but it has an impact that we would have to address. So that's the language around that. And then my statement about this is as follows. We commissioned the polling because we didn't want to guess what residents want. In a statistically accurate survey, a majority told us they want the chance to vote on this. We are not imposing a tax tonight. We are deciding whether to put this decision in front of the people who live here. Residents identified their own priorities: streets and potholes, fire protection and emergency response, the aging infrastructure and storm drains they rely on every day. This measure reflects what they asked for. As I mentioned at the last council meeting, our quality of life is real. Our property values reflect it, and the businesses choosing Santee reflect it. That doesn't happen without significant investment. When the state hands down unfunded mandates and raids our redevelopment funds, local revenue can't keep up core services slip. Residents have the right to vote on whether to fund the city they want. I respect the residents who oppose any new tax and encourage them to continue to research our documentation, which I know staff has been very responsive and providing when asked. Both groups, pro and con, deserve a vote, and that is what this measure gives them. Important to me are the audits, the Citizens Oversight Committee, which, by the way, giving that committee, I went back and forth on this, but giving that committee too much and limiting their power could actually work against the council and the council priorities. If they decide these things that we have in front of us today, which we all agree on, are not their priorities, that's a conundrum that doesn't make sense to me. I did read every line of this packet. I asked staff to confirm the ballot question meets the legal word limit. Didn't know City of Santee is considered one word. To tighten the oversight language and to require fiscal training for the residents who serve on and oversee this money. Santee incorporated in 1980. It's appropriate that former council member Jim Bartell is here. So the people who live here, not the county, would decide what gets built and how our money is invested. This measure is that same principle: local funding, locally controlled, decided by Santee voters. for our residents. This is 1980 all over again. This is the residents' decision to make, and I support placing it on the ballot.
I think I've said it all last time.
All right, so the mayor did state that there was no other funding measure, which is not technically accurate because we could bond. We could go that route, but then it's only paid for by homeowners, not the actual people that utilize services in the city of Santee, which is what I've talked about in the past. Anybody that shops in Santee, anybody that comes to our parks or concerts in the park, they get sick, injured, whatever the case may be, they need services, they need safety help. That's what this pays for. So these are the people that are shopping here, that come to the city, that utilize our roads. That is what the sales tax is for. It's not so to put it to fund it another way with a bond puts the burden 100% on homeowners only, and I don't believe that that's a fair way to pay for all the infrastructure in the city of Santee. The gentleman said earlier that oversight is, basically just a thing. There's nothing about it. The reality is it's not true. I sat on an oversight committee with Prop R when the first school bonds that were ever done in the city of Santee, and we were very aggressive. And the reporting is as a reporting to the public. It's not just a reporting that goes to the city. It's a reporting to the public, and our voice is heard. Because we're at the meetings, we show up at the meetings and give testimony as if when we're giving testimony, it's to the council, but it's for public information. So everyone hears what's going on from an oversight committee. It's clear based on the way we are kind of cash and carry. That's kind of how we've rolled since inception. But with that, the city's been good stewards, not further indebting the taxpayers and into the foreseeable future. And I want to kind of get into some of the stats. These are things that I just asked Heather and our city manager to come up with, just because people I keep seeing online and how we're just mismanaging money, and that's what it's all about. What individuals don't understand is it's not just your cost at home that goes up. It's the cost everywhere that goes up, municipalities included. Start with the sheriff's department. Sheriff's contract has gone up 39.5% over the last 10 years. That's actually not bad when you take that out, because it's 3.95. It's under 4% per year. We understand in the next contract it may go up significantly more because we were fortunate to have such a low number for such a long time that now there's some catch up to do, and we're not going to be that fortunate. Liability insurance in the city of Santee, it's gone up almost 64.4% in the last 4 years. Just liability insurance, 64.4%. Electricity, everybody's had electricity increases. Ours has increased 16.4% over the last 4 years. Fuel costs, almost 16% over the last 4 years. Our pavement rehab maintenance has averaged $3.8 million over the last 5 years, but compared to $1.1 million in the previous years, if there was anything allocated at all outside of the funds that were state, kind of state funds or transit funds.
Just for clarity, 1.1 million in the previous 20 years.
I said previous years.
I know, but I'm putting out the previous
if anything,
20 years.
If anything. So 90 in that survey was 93% of what? No, 93% of the people stated that the number one concern was pavement maintenance, roads. We have increased that significantly, and we've been trying to do that within and stay within our budget and still be at a balanced budget, which I, again, applaud our city staff for finding a way to do that. 64% of the annual budget goes to public safety, which is actually lower than it used to be. There was a time where that was actually higher than. I remember at one point it was 72%. It's now 64%. But in that time, in the last 10 years, we have reduced firefighter staff by a couple, if you recall. We had reduced motor staff in the sheriff's department. When times get tough, those are the last things we want to do, but at some point you sometimes have to do that, and we've already done that. We can't cut it anymore with a little bit of growth, and I'll get to the growth in just a minute. Cost of required software to run and maintain a city has increased 186% over the last 4 years. And it's so to your point, and then it's about that's going to increase even further because now it's also going to be taxed. Another fun, interesting fact, we have the fifth lowest revenue in the county per capita. Santee is the fifth lowest revenue per capita in the county. Every city that's lower than the city of Santee, or at the same level as Santee, that's us, I guess, has already done a sales tax increase in order to try and figure out how to make something happen. So we have the fifth lowest revenue in the county. We have the second lowest general fund income per capita. Second lowest general fund income per capita. We actually have the lowest full-time employee count in the entire county per capita. And from most cities, we're way below. We had 6.7% increase in population over the last 10 years. So population's increased. We are still staying very lean in the city of Santee. We are doing everything we possibly can to make sure we are not living outside of our means. And I want to just make mention. The only cities that have not increased their sales tax are Carlsbad, Coronado, Encinitas, Poway. They have not increased the sales tax, but they're also in the top 10% of revenue, general fund revenue per capita in the county. They have smaller populations and much higher property tax bases and sales tax bases than we do, or revenue, I should say, than we do, with smaller populations for the most part. San Diego is also one that has not, but they tried and it failed. So it's not to say that they didn't try.
I was also going to add, like Poway, they have utilities, so they have the ability to allocate costs to other funds that we don't have here either.
Fair enough. So those are other revenue sources that they have that aren't even showing up in the number that I was given for what the annual revenue, general fund revenue is for a city, because it is allocated in other manners. So looking at all this, I really do. I've said it several times now. I would encourage somebody, please, Mr. Bickford, please show me where we can cut some more. Show me what we are doing to spend outside of our means. Show me how there's other ways to do this. Some things won't get funded. I understand that. Yeah, but those things that we are talking about here, these are vital infrastructure needs. The capital or the corrugated metal pipes, those did not get funded for a number of years, and I was the first one to complain about it and say we needed to do this. We need to put funding towards it. And sure as heck, what happened? We had street failures. The mayor mentioned we even had worse than the street failure, where we had like a cave-in. We actually had it happen in between houses, and it was the city had to take responsibility for that. So these are things that they're not the sexy things. We're not talking about building new monuments to the city council and putting our faces on Mount Santee. We don't have a Mount Santee, do we? Okay, we don't. All right. We are talking about critical infrastructure needs and public safety needs. These are the things that we have done with, we've lived on a shoestring budget as long as we possibly can. I have been the biggest opponent to any tax increases of any kind that's probably sat up here, and the loudest opposition to it. But I've looked at all the numbers. That finance is my background. I've looked at there's no way around this that I can possibly see that we can continue. In the last budget meeting, there was a slide up there that did like a 10-year projection, and it showed just continuing to try and stay within the means of what operationally we have to do, knowing the increases in cost for public safety and road maintenance. At one point, I mean, it was 10 years down the road, but I think our reserves were down to $1 million. We're going to be deficit spending in order to get there. There's no way around this. We can't do bake sales. We can't do, kissing booths. Nobody would want that ever. Well, at least not from me. There's nothing more we can do. What we can do is give this kind of information to the public, let them see, open the books, let everybody come in and take a look at it. It's not a secret. This is public record. Anybody can look at this. If somebody else can come up with some great way that we can magically come up with more money without doing this, I am all ears. We had a state assembly member that said that was possible, and we had staff look into it, and they said, no, you're not getting your money back from the state of California. Because that's what he said. You just call so-and-so, and the state of California will give you your money back that they stole. No, that doesn't happen. So here we are, living in reality, and this is reality. We have to, as the mayor said, we have to make some tough decisions. The tough decision is to go against my personal beliefs in keeping government out of your pocketbook and out of your house, and give the citizens of Santee the option of doing this for themselves and for the city. If they choose not to, I sincerely don't know what the next step could possibly be, but the reality is all we can do is give them the option and at the same time provide accurate information. Stats like this change minds. Just giving sermons on, well, it's the right thing to do and we should all pay our fair share, that doesn't do it. But people do need to understand the cost of running a city has gone up way faster and way further than the income coming into a city like Santee. And as much as I'm happy that we have a new tax revenue source in the cannabis world. It took us 5 years to get there, but that's not going to solve the problem. It's just helping us move down the line a little further, kick the can down the line a little further. This is the only way that I can see. So with that, I support it as well. Again, against my own personal beliefs, but I don't see any other way to keep the city running into the future and beyond my terms. So.
All right, thank you. I'm just going to finish with this, and because you make a very good point about doing the best to keep the lights on with what little we're getting. One of the reasons I believe we have done so well over the years is because this council and staff has been engaged in economic development over the years. And that takes a whole lot of different things into it. I mean, the International Council Shopping Centers taught us what kind of businesses that need to come to our city. I remember Rob and I going out there and, beating on doors at these conventions and telling people, you need to come to our city because we have something to offer you. And many of them have. And so therefore we get revenue from that. And we have a lot of industry that has also sought out the city of Santee because we have the place for them. About 2 months ago or a month ago, I think we talked about the biotech industry is one of the next emerging, abilities, what do you call them? It's an industry, I guess. They're a up-and-coming industry that can come to our city. We can have smaller staffs in storefronts or in industrial buildings. And that brings revenue. And it also gives a place for people who live nearby to be able to go and work there and not have to have all this extra commuting and paying for, fuel and things of that nature. So So there's reasons why we have been able to be successful so far. And it's not because we haven't gone out looking for new revenue sources and brought them here. So,
Mr. Mayor, we may have done too good of a job on recruiting the chicken shops.
okay, I'll buy that. So having said all that, I'm going to move staff recommendation. And I'd like to include the language that Councilmember Koval added, because it reminded me of supplanting. And what you're talking about is not taking money that's already designed for, let's say, our firefighters or our sheriff, taking that money out and putting some other money into it. It's putting it together so that you don't lose the funding source, so that it is strong.
Mayor, can I speak to that? I think the appropriate place that could be added would be within the scope of the committee's obligation, and we can certainly do that. So it'd basically be an obligation of the committee to assess maintenance of effort, report to council. There's already a process in here to do that, so we could just add that there.
Great, thank you. That is my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Thank you. Please vote. And I wanted to point out that this does require a 4/5 vote of the council.
Waiting for your vote, Mayor.
Oh, brother.
Motion carries with 4 aye votes, with Vice Mayor Hall voting no.
Thank you. And you know what? Thank you to everybody that listened to us. Thank you to the folks that gave testimony tonight. I appreciate that. And we're going to go ahead and take some non-agenda public comment, and then we'll be moving into closed session after that. But I just wanted to make sure that you all understand that we, as a council, appreciate your comments and your patience here tonight. Public comments?
Yes, we have one speaker, John Hosick.
Mr. Hosick, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council and staff. So I wanted to wait. I wanted to actually hear what the City Council had to say on this.
On what?
One, on the actual sales tax initiative. One, because I wanted to make sure I understood where they stood. Secondly, I've probably been coming to City Council over 16 years, at least. I have seen no other City Council act as responsible as this City Council.
Thank you.
When I got into this because I was trying to advocate, not because I thought that's what I was going to do in life, but I kind of fell into this little role trying to help other people and help a community that has a bunch of seniors. 9 out of 12 parks that I represent are seniors. I did not know going into it what I know now. I have seen the city cut staff. I have seen the city cut services. I have seen the city try to raise fees. I have seen the city try to do a special tax for our fire department, which scares me to, to know that my seniors might die in their homes because we don't have enough fire stations. Or they might actually get injured because they can't get rescued soon enough. There is a cost to doing nothing. There is a cost. For the people that voted, for our city council that voted to allow us the opportunity to say yes or no, and I'm not saying I'm for or against this sales initiative, but for those that were brave enough to at least say, hey, you know what? If I take this option off the table, am I smart? Is it responsible? Am I doing the right thing for the public in disallowing them an opportunity to say yes or no, whether they have what they will need in the future? As far as holding accountability, that's really simple. It's called voting. If a future city council decides to do and squander it the incorrect way, there's an opportunity to take care of that. But if we do nothing and we let our city actually degrade or have to say, well, I'm sorry, we can't do this for them, we will suffer because you did not make us or give us an opportunity to say yes or no. So for those that did, that made the right decision, thank you.
Next.
There are no further speakers.
Great. Thank you very much. That will take us to close session. Oh, let's go do our other reports first. I forgot. I was getting excited here. All right. Council reports. Anything, Vice Mayor?
MTS passed the budget, so there will be trolleys on July 1st.
Oh, great. Was there a fair increase with that budget?
Yes. Well, that's up to you guys. That's up to Sandig.
No. Okay. Councilwoman.
Yeah, on Father's Day, shout out to my friend there. I painted one of those mosaic tiles for our mural, and I was wondering, are there more opportunities to paint those? If you wouldn't mind sharing what those are.
Yeah, so they're tiles, and the goal is for these tiles to be painted over the course of the next few months. We're going to have 3 more opportunities for the general public to come and paint some of those tiles. The goal is to replicate the American Eagle and put that replication of that art behind the Mass Park facility. So one of our restroom facilities there.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and then on Monday, I attended the Fire Safety Council Awards event, which I didn't even know that there were fire safety councils around San Diego County, but now I do. And we don't have one in Santee, so that's why, honestly, that's why I didn't know about it. But they do great work. These are volunteers in the community, in their communities. They're awarded grants for public education, home hardening, even the chippers coming out and chipping up trees, if that's the right term. But they do great work, and really impressive to just see the community volunteers that come together around the San Diego County. So that's my report.
Harley, is the gentleman, there was one who tried to start up in off of Strathmore up there, and did he get that done? I forget his name. I apologize. He's a firefighter.
Right. There's nothing official yet. There is some continued work towards it. So
Yeah,
it is
I know
something that residents in northwestern Santee
working in
are
the north part of Santee, the northern part of my district, up Strathmore up there.
Interested in
We're
that.
working on one. Maybe.
All right. Speaking of Father's Day, I want to congratulate our good friend James Jeffries, who had a 60-pound baby on Father's Day.
Only 9 pounds.
Might as well have been 60, though. Just ask Brittany. Let's see. I don't think I have anything else. I've talked way too much tonight. And you guys don't even have to agree with that.
Nothing for me, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, I want to make clarification. I looked at my notes. I mentioned that we were the 5th lowest overall gross revenue overall, but 2nd lowest per capita.
Yeah.
Clarification.
Great. City Manager.
No updates, but I think the last slide, when we're done, will mention Santee salutes and reminding everybody that's coming up soon and will be enhanced for the 250th celebration. So
All
encourage
right.
everyone to attend.
City Attorney.
No report, Mayor.
Great. So then now we'll go to closed session, and that's item number 19, conference with legal counsel. Item number 20, conference with legal counsel, and both are very similar but separate.
Mayor, just for the record, Councilmember McNellis will recuse from these items.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me.